loyalty, mistrust, patriotism, dictator, confusion, schizoidism, it's a democracy illusion. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are on. Bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Yeah, their faces are two-tone. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host, as always, Severe Wayne. Got a good one, as always. They call it a chamber, believers of the manger. In God they trust not, falling angel, no stranger. In it till they die, from their seats they will cry. To our faces, telling lies, they're complicit, no surprise. The ceiling is high, they think the same of you and I. What they call woke is a politicized form of divide. All lives don't matter, just listen to the idle chatter. They're hiding in plain sight because they fear the smoke and splatter. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are hard to tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are hard to tone. Their faces are hard to tone. They sure are. Pay attention. The body count is growing from the propaganda that's sowing. They're hiding the hand, want to keep you not knowing. Peace seems to come through war, but war doesn't bring peace. Residual effects are an intermittent release. They think you'll be called, then they'll call one for you. Presenting arms as though they adore you. They're journalistic in nature, maturation myth. They turn the other cheek and receive the Judas kiss. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are hard to tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are. Their faces are two-tone. Yeah, their faces are two-tone. Touch me.
Check this.
Yes.
Check
America. America. Just a figment of your imagination. Just look it up, look it up. Get the definition. Then look around you. Reevaluate your position. Dreams and nightmares. Hopes and fears. Some big, some small. Got your trauma on recall. We put that old boogeyman in his place many years ago. But they still unpack them sheets annually. Doing a little recruiting, you know? Shit. We ain't sure. That's why they hiding in plain sight. It's what they they do. It's not just us that they're after you too. What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. Apparently, elected officials need to be brought up on their awareness as to how they came to be. There's term life, whole life, and no damn life. Jobs, justice, and equality do fall under your purview. Maybe some of y'all need to join the protesters too. Can't form it, wage your war on your own. Standing at the fence, neither side, your home. Screwed us all, now you wanna talk dirty. A lot of gall, Mississippi with the party. Who's wanna take the fall? What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. It's easy to talk tough from the podium. Never step foot in the hood. See what's really holding them. Standing up there, scolding them. Stirring the hate and bolding them. Fuck around and find out we colder than them. In our first rodeo, we older than them. Original man, we soldiering them. What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. We've got the experience. We know how it's done. They're rotating gatekeepers, keeping the bad chasers on the run. Grown ass men, not sirs but sons. Fighting for positions, but dying by gun. Check this. Our aim should be them. There's us. Chasing paper that breathes in God the trust. Hustlers hustle, the players play. Public service are all bought and paid. Dabblers and dirty deeds, violators of law. Proven track record, constituent contingency clause. Just a little damage. Just need your vote. Just out ice. Just a sacrifice. What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. Touch me right here. New music. Kiss me like this. Right there. I'm so shy. Don't be afraid. New music, baby. New music. It was the best thing since sliced bread. Visions of a body dancing in my head. Doing things I could only come up. Yeah, you know for me, girl, it was love. Follow you around like a puppy on the string. And then the telephone rings. Reminiscing in my bed alone with myself in my hand on heart as a bone. Just a young kid, all up in his feelings. It's all for what? A sexual healing got up in my head day and night. When darkness falls, fantasy take flight. Tasting the feeling, need to release. And touch a girl my age, feeling the crease. Most of those girls weren't even ready to lay in bed at night. Holding the teddy, love, 90, crazy young boy. body invasion. Now you told me where you want me. I'm getting it to let you flaunt me. 13, a virgin, pristine, conversion, Adele, perversion, sex acts, coercion, 13, a virgin, pristine, new music, conversion, Adele, perversion, sex acts, coercion. Listen, you can find all of my music on your favorite music streaming platform. Make sure you check it out. New music. Now I'm feeling like I have no choice. Get out of my head, boys. I'm chasing tail, running the streets. I want love no more. I'm a hard thief. Since you learn me, don't sojourn me. You want sex, cause you're lonely. No clue what you do. Both of us together don't make two. This ain't fiction, a sex addiction. Pain infliction is commission. Unbeknownst to the doer, the outcome is traumatic skewer. So confusing, but amusing. While we're using, so diffusing. Not just delay. So you say, don't value me. My heart's in a way. Finding the balance between love and sex. Mind be cuddled like I'm under an X. She reinforced inside of me. Between the stars, where we wanna be. 13, a virgin. Pristine, conversion. Adele, perversion, sex acts, coercion, 13, a virgin, pristine, conversion, Adele, perversion, sex acts, coercion. We got a great show today, as always. Change. And not that what's in your pocket. Thirteen, a virgin, pristine, conversion, Adele, perversion, sex acts, coercion. Affection, rejection, body selection, no love for the person, just an erection. Coming is easy, latex squeezy, the need for the flesh. Free me, what's love got to do with it? She wants hot to see me now spewing it. Took away my virginity, having sex with a child, traumatic affinity. 13, a virgin, pristine, conversion. Adele, perversion, sex acts, coercion, coercion, coercion. And again, I'm your host, as always, Sabir Lane. Welcome to a wonderful episode. And somehow or another, I just took it off of the screen, but let me get it right back up. We're talking about change today. And that is a very difficult area for most of us, if not all of us. Some people to tell you that, well, you know, I don't have a problem with changing. I realize the necessity of it, but you only realize that necessity at certain points in time. So why do people have such a hard time changing? You know what's standing in your way. You know that. You know what has been difficult for you. You know what is difficult for you. You know when you're faced with certain circumstances in your life that if you don't change, that it's going to be a problem that's going to keep on resurfacing over and over and over again. But it's not just the matter of change, it's also a matter of accountability. It's accountability too. A lot of people don't want to be held accountable for their actions. A lot of people want to keep on blaming other people, pointing fingers at other people for why they keep experiencing what it is they experience in their lives. Whether it's because of a failed relationship, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, or whether it's a difficult relationship between parent and child. You have the ultimate responsibility. And I keep saying this over and over again, the responsibility to feel better. Because that's really what it comes down to. But you have an opportunity to feel better, and you just don't do it because it's easier to say it's because of this relationship that I am the way I am. And it's no doubt that relationships, shape how we think. Because a failed relationship brings about trauma. No matter how severe or how persistent it may be, there's still trauma that exists. There's still a matter of, how can I move through this? How do I move through this? And then how do I enter into a new relationship and not bring this with me? Because from childhood, we bring everything with us. No matter how old you are today, I'm 64, and there are still things that I experienced as a child that still reside within. It doesn't go away. It's in here. It's in the confines of my mind. It doesn't go away. But how do I let it control my life? That's the big question. How do I allow this that happened so long ago continue to be the driving factor in my ability or lack thereof to have healthy relationships, not just with other people, but with myself? With myself. We beat ourselves up, man, sometimes, all of our lives because it's something that happened that involves somebody else. And not looking at the fact that, okay, it happened. Things happen in life. Things happen to us in life, and they will continue to happen in our lives. But how do we move past them? Why don't we move past them? It's an article that I came across from the Growth Source website, Growth Source Coaching, right? And this article focuses on business from a business perspective. And see, a lot of people, have chosen the entrepreneurial route of survival as opposed to working for somebody. People want to work for themselves. People want to experience that freedom of being able to get up when you want to, set your own hours, go in when you feel like it. And if you don't feel like it, you don't feel like it. But when you begin to work for yourself, it is a 24/7 job. It's not a 9 to 5 anymore. It's 24/7. Because even when you sleep, it's in your head. What you need to do when you get up tomorrow. You might have to get up in the middle of the night. If you're anything like me, I'll get up in the middle of the night and write some stuff down. I'll get up in the middle of the night and go to the computer. Because it's always something to be done. And people fail to realize that that's a freedom that you don't have anymore. That's a luxury you no longer have. A lot of people start, little businesses, LLCs or whatever, and they don't realize that in starting an LLC, you are your brand now. So people look at you. They watch you. They watch everything it is that you do. They listen to everything it is that you say. Every show that I do, I'm putting myself out there. I'm on a hot mic. So whatever comes out of my mouth is how people decide whether they really want to do business with you. Are you consistent with your brand? Do you put out a certain mission statement? Do you express a certain vision to everybody? But you don't live as such. It's like professing to follow a particular religion, but you don't. You're not that example. You're not that example. Well, we follow, we follow this and we follow that, but that person, that prophet, that messenger is an example for you. And you have to follow that example, not to the letter, but in theory, in understanding the philosophy behind it, and understanding that there is some significant value in why this person has been sent to us as an example. When people are successful in business and they put information out there, they're on social media, wherever you see them, right? They are being an example for how to be successful. And one of the main things that you have to understand is that you have to change. You can't profess to be, a person who values humanity, but then you set prices on your business so astronomically that only certain groups of people can purchase from you. You're only appealing to certain groups of people. But you say that you value humanity, you value the working class person, you value an individual's needs, an individual's perspective on things, right? When Baskin Robbins started out, they didn't have 32 flavors. Truth be told, the only ice cream, when ice cream started being made way back when, it was only vanilla. And they added toppings to add the different flavors to it. Now you have ice cream that tastes like bacon, chocolate, mints, cookies. So everybody has a different need. And when I made the decision that when I started Daddy's Right Here, the nonprofit, right? I didn't say Black Daddy's Right Here. When I started the LLC, A Lean for You, I didn't put, when the category, it asks you what category, I didn't put Black owned business. Why? Why pigeonhole myself, into a position where I'm only identified as a Black owned business? What does that say to everybody else who may be a potential customer? My being Black has nothing to do with the business. If you choose to purchase from me because you see me as a Black person, and that is your desire, that is your wish to purchase from me because of that, that's entirely up to you. I'm not going to discriminate against others. I'm not going to put myself in a business where I'm a Black owned business. Therefore, I need to be identified as such. So, as a Black person, that I'm a Black owned business. Business is business. And we get stuck in that mindset. But look at how many things that you have on right now that did not come from a Black owned business. And don't say because there's not a Black owned business that has that merchandise, because there's businesses, Black owned businesses out there that have the same merchandise any other seller has. But it's a choice. It's the thinking. So when you start looking at change, you start looking at how you think and how your thinking affects every area of your life. Every area of your life. You can't keep jumping on a narrative of, well, I'm only going to do business with Black owned businesses because of A, B, C. You can't do that. You can, but you have to look at where you're pigeonholed. Now, this is where you are. This is where you're seen by others. I'm a businessman. I'm about my business. I serve everybody, regardless of all those discriminatory things that you find in the list. It's your thinking. And that's what you have to begin to look at. Your thinking often pigeonholes you into a position where you're limiting your ability for success to a group of people. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make dollars either. But when you have this kind of mindset, this is how you live your life. And this is the dialogue that you often have with others and don't see how prejudicial that position is. I'm not one of those go along to get along kind of dudes. I'm not going to fall prey to somebody else's narrative. I'm not going to do it. That's not individualism. That's cowardism. That's saying that I'm going to do it this way because so and so said that this is the way we should do it. Therefore, this is what I'm going to follow. This is what I'm going to follow. That ain't the message I got from God. That's not the message that I got about humanity. That's not the message I got about, servitude to humanity. That's not my perspective. That's not my worldview. That is not my worldview. I'm not crying, y'all. My eyes off the water. It's such a sensitive subject. When I'm talking about things like this. But now, So we had, and even that, I use humor a lot. And there was a point in time in life when I didn't. There was a point in time in life when I was so morbidly serious about everything that I didn't see how it was preventing me from enjoying life. You can be militant in your perspectives about things. You can be firm and consistent in delivering a message of empowerment, of individuality. But you don't have to be so serious about it that when people don't fall in line with your thinking and your narrative, that you deviate, right, from a course that is going to aid you in blossoming. Right? And men blossom too. Right? It's like any other thing on this girth, on this girth, on God's green earth is what I was starting to say, and it came out girth. So from now on, remember when I say girth, I'm meaning God's green earth. But it's a matter of we have fallen prey to so much that's said around us, and then you later find out these things are not true. You later find out that certain people are frauds, that they're putting out somebody else's narrative. They're only regurgitating what they hear, what they see somebody else do, because it sounds real good. I'm not trying to sound good. I'm not trying to be hit, fly, none of that stuff. I'm not trying to mislead you. I have no need for it. There's no benefit for me to do that. If you ever meet me on the street, you will find me just this way. My family would tell you I'm a fun-loving, funny dude. Right? I live and enjoy life, but it wasn't always that way for me because of where I was in my life, because of my perspectives of life. And at 64, I shouldn't have the same perspectives of life that I did when I was 54, 44, 34, or even 4. And it's some who are 64 who still have a mindset that is not one that emulates a maturity, growth, and wisdom. And that's what it comes down to. When you want to be successful, it starts with you taking care of your house, getting your house in order. Because people are going to read you. People are going to see you. And some people are going to see right through you. Going to see right through you, man. And I see it all the time, man. I see people who, have little businesses and have little things going on, right? Part of their mission and their vision for doing things online, smoking weed or, in drunken rages and all kind of other stuff, little regular rants about, meaningless things. It's just showing an imbalance within you. No, we all fall short. Now, don't get me wrong. We all fall short. We all, experience emotional upheavals where we act out in a way that's unbecoming of us. Not unbecoming to somebody else, but unbecoming to ourselves. conflicting with our own values. We call it cognitive dissonance in the clinical field. Your mouth is saying one thing, your actions are showing something else. They're showing something else. You see a lot of entertainers and you see what happens to them when they get caught by the paparazzi and doing certain things. You see it now, you hear it now with what's going on in the music industry, right? You're starting to see things. You're starting to hear things. But the real question is, are you just like jumping on the bandwagon of, nah, that ain't, nah, he didn't, nah, they making it up? Or are you on the bandwagon of, wait a minute, this is real. This is real. This is not make-believe. This is not a fairy tale. Your life shouldn't be treated as such. Your life shouldn't be treated. Things are happening every moment of the day that are very disheartening. People are actually mentally falling apart because of some of the things that they're hearing about what's happening in the entertainment industry. But you've been being told these things a long time ago. A long time ago about what happens in the music industry. What has happened to people? All this bling bling that you see before you, and you go chasing after it. And then you later find out that the bling ain't the thing. That what's really happening is they're putting on fake jewelry. They're promoting an idea. Not an ideal. They're promoting an idea that this is the life. That popping bottles, dropping rocks, wearing ice, that all these things are an ideal way of living, and they're not. It's an idea that's projected by somebody else's narrative of how they want people, certain groups in society, to act and to be and to pursue. And then you act accordingly. You buy the clothes. You spend money you don't need to be spending. I heard the bishop was a bishop. I went to an event last night. The bishop was talking about how people want to live that champagne life. They can only afford beer. And some can only afford Kool-Aid. Yeah. But you want others to believe that you're in the place that you're not. And when you live that way, and you project your image to others publicly, when you're by yourself, it's a whole different ballgame. Because you're sitting there faced with eviction. You're sitting there faced with your car being repossessed. You know, your Benz you decide to put out in front of your house because you wanted people to think that you was up. All this thinking has to change. Especially when you're trying to establish your own identity as a business person. So the article from Growth Source Coaching, Why You Struggle with Accountability and How to Actually Change. The psychology of upgrading your mindset in order to change thinking and behavior attitudes. Now, I want you to hear that. The psychology. We're talking about business, right? So how are we talking about business and psychology in the same sentence? Well, you understand that United States government, right, is business. The White House is about business. Washington is about business. Washington represents business interests, not the interests of the working class people. Not the interests of the working class people, but the people who benefit from the working class people. It's a business. Look it up. So when you start hearing and hauling and going through all these unnecessary things about who's in office, who's doing this and who's doing that, It's not to benefit us. It's to benefit the people who are pouring money into business to grow business off the backs of the working class people. It's why they keep bringing up Social Security. Social Security are not the working class people, but we're the ones who have retired, who have paid into Social Security. People who get other benefits such as SSDI. These are people who have documentation to support to prove that they are unable to work. But this is money we put out money. We pay taxes into this stuff. This has nothing to do with the government's budget. So why are they messing with that? There are trillions of dollars put into Social Security from the working class people. And now there's talk about trying to mess with that because they borrow from that to try to mend the broken businesses that they have failed in, and we have to pay for it. You got to pay attention to what's going on. See? And when you have a mindset that is not psychologically wrapped around the worldview, as opposed to this little box that you put yourself into to live by, and that's how you do everything, or you listen to so and so, and that's what. No, you got to have a worldview. There's a bigger scheme to all of this, and the scheme is really what it is. You understand? But it talks about the psychological upgrading of your mind. So if you're contemplating on starting a business, if you're contemplating on moving into the business world, because it's a whole different world, right? You need to change how you think, or you will conduct business in the manner that you currently present. And that is not going to be good. My mother was real hard on us about how we speak, how our penmanship, our conduct, sitting at the table, not sitting with your elbows up on the table, not sitting and eating your food and smacking and, and all that, eating with your mouth closed. And, there were a lot of things she taught us about conduct. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Things that don't exist today. People eat any kind of way. People sit to tables any kind of way. The way they sit at the table at home is the same way they sit at the table when they're sitting in front of business people. And I used to have the mindset of, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be like I am. They don't like it, then that's on them. No, that's not how that goes, man. There's a certain etiquette that's accepted. And you need to understand and learn what that etiquette is. You can be you. You can do you. But you have to learn how to shape that hoodish mentality and form it into one that's going to help you be a productive member of the business world, or you won't succeed. Customer service is first and foremost. How you talk to your customers, how you present the food, how your business is presented. Is it clean? Is it neat? Do you have rap music playing, in the background of your establishment? Who are you attracting? Again, you're pigeonholing yourself, right? Because everybody doesn't want to hear that. I listen to rap. I don't want to hear it all the damn time. I want to listen to some classical music. I want to listen to some soundscapes. I want a welcoming environment when people come into the business that everybody feels welcome. So, and it goes on to say, in order to change thinking and behavior traits, it's just some things you have to stop doing. You can't be sitting out in front of your business, toting, then going back in and go to bed. That ain't, listen, you can. Let me change that. You can. But what perception does the public get from you for that? And what do you draw to your business when doing that. See, everything ain't for everybody. Everything ain't for every place. You do that at home. You do that in the confines of a place, where you don't have people sitting around photographing you, videotaping you, and then putting that out there as soon as you come up a little bit. That's what people do, man. So let's go into the article a little bit. Being in business can be very liberating. You run your own show. You make the decisions about what you will do. You reap the rewards of your success. But there's another side that's not so liberating. Much of the time, you operate alone. You may not always be confident about the decisions you make. And when failure strikes, the results are all yours as well. This is where lack of accountability can create a mindset that takes away your control, limits your optimism, and prevents you from coming back from the brink. Part of business is failure, right? I've been working, on this LLC for a minute. And the sales have been zilch. But the recognition, the views, the people are being connected to, right? And you have to be consistent. You have to be steadfast. Because people don't know you. And when people don't know you, they don't go to you. Therefore, advertisements that I put out, because I do my own ads, and people might say, well, that's a mistake too. Let me share something with you. It's important that you develop a personal rapport with people. Spending hundreds, even thousands of dollars on ads when people don't know who you are, when people don't know what you're about, when people don't know what you represent, increases the level of competitiveness that you have to rise to. It's already a competitive arena out there. But when you do ads that, add certain twists to it, when you're in the ads, even when I'm setting up the site, I have to talk about why you want to buy from Elaine for you. I want to see what it is that you're talking about. I want to see if what you said on your website is consistent with what I see on your Daddy's Right Here videos. It's consistent with what I hear in your music, because my music is socio-political kind of music. But it's the truth about what happens in our society. Now, if people want to accept it, they do. If they don't, they don't. But that's me remaining consistent and true to myself. I am a black man in America. I am subjected on a regular basis to certain scrutinies that others are not. That's a reality. Now, if that person who's viewing doesn't want to accept that reality, then move on. But I'm a human being, first and foremost. But you don't hear me being anti this or anti that, in the sense that I'm offending other people, intentionally trying to offend people. I don't sit down to make music that say hate the white man, this, that, I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't do that kind of stuff. I do talk about sentencing disparities and injustices and things like that, because that's the world we live in. That's the real world. That's the real world. That's my experience as a black man in America. Right? So I'm not preaching hate. I I've been through all of the things that you can think of in regards to racism, being chased by white kids and teens and adults, going back and forth to elementary school, having rocks and bottles thrown at me and all that stuff. So I had every reason in the world that I could have been an anti-white person. I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't raised like that in my family. My mother didn't teach us that. My grandparents didn't teach us that. I didn't grow up with that, the mindset of hating another group of people. I didn't grow up with that. When I had all the evidence to support that I was disliked because of the color of my skin. I stayed within my humanity, and I stay within my humanity. There's a difference, man. There's a big difference. Then the person has the right to say, "Well, I don't like his music because he's saying that to hate me and to hate me and to dislike me and that I did this to him and that I did that to him, that I was responsible for enslaving blacks, this, that, and the other." That's not what my music says. That's not the message that's sent. There are people out there who hate me because of the color of my skin. That's a fact. So when you look at how it is you present yourself, how you have discussions about things, I wish that we could have, discussions, you know, with one another on race for those who don't see it for whatever reason. For whatever reason. I wish we could have those discussions without it turning into a physical confrontation, without it turning into slurs being made towards one another. I wish we could. That's just not a reality. And when you understand humanity, you understand that putting your energy into forcing that discussion in that capacity, it's a waste. You stay on course for what it is that you do and what it is that you're doing. There's ways to deal with injustices that don't mean that you have to offend other people who do not have anything to do with what's going on. Period. Back to the article. What causes us not to be accountable is the question. Throughout our growth years, we've learned to be accountable to someone else. As young children, we must do what our parents tell us, or punishment might befall us. As students, we must do what our teachers tell us, or our grades might be affected. As employees, we must do what our bosses tell us, or our jobs could be in jeopardy. Our understanding of being accountable for our actions is driven by our need to comply with the demands of others. No one shows us how to be accountable to ourselves, right? While lack of training in becoming accountable to ourselves may be one element, another may be our own resistance to calling ourselves out on the decisions and choices we make. When we avoid being accountable, we make a conscious decision not to do something, and then another decision to downplay the importance of not following through. Let me say that one more time, a little louder for those sitting in the front row. When we avoid being accountable, we make a conscious decision not to do something, and then another decision to downplay the importance of not following through. So when you're faced with situations in life, whatever it may be, and you know that change is necessary on your part, and you fail to do it, you are making a conscious decision to not change. That's your decision. That's your decision. I know I need it. I'm not doing it. I'm going to keep on looking for somebody to support my thinking, to support my position. That way I can validate why I haven't changed. That's what you do. You can always find somebody to validate your stuff. You can always find somebody to validate the position that you've taken. Look at the outcome. Look at the outcome. Another failed relationship. Ongoing difficulty in the relationship with you and the other person or persons. It has nothing to do with the other person. Why are you not calling yourself out? Why is it so easy to call out somebody else on their stuff when you think somebody should be acting or doing something in the way that you think, that you believe? That's easy. But then even when people yield to your thinking in an effort, their effort to make things better between the two of you, it doesn't stop there. It continues in every area. In every area. Because that's what you want the person to do. You want the person to bow down to you. You want the person to yield to your selfish wants and needs. And don't see that you're being selfish. Don't think that you're being selfish. And you keep on doing it. And you keep on doing it. And then when they clap back, they're wrong. They're the bad guy. They're the bad guy. Because now they've clapped back because they've gotten tired. That's why you wind up losing job after job. That's why you keep being put out of different establishments repeatedly. Because of you. Because of you, that happens. Yes, there are things that happen that are because of the other person. But as long as you keep pointing to the other person as being the problem, you're going to keep having that same problem. I've seen people lose customers in business. I've seen people break good relationships in business because they don't want to look at themselves. Or because they're so caught up in the other person shining brighter than them. I know my brother put in one of his songs, he talks about while in the booth, you know, they shine, but he illuminates, right? Some people do. Some people have that illuminating effect. But it comes from hard work. It comes from being consistent. It comes from being consistent. And when you're that way, you're confident. But when you're doing the right thing for the right reason, giving God honor and praise first and foremost is important because it ain't you. It's something he gave to us. It's something that we realize that is within us and we latch on to it and we bring it to fruition. But when you're so haughty, when you're so full of self, when you're so selfish, you can't see anything other than your own selfish wants and needs. But you never call yourself out on it. You never call yourself out on it. So people's efforts at trying to build a relationship with you are always met with resistance. And they talked about that here in the article. Always met with the resistance. Because you want to control. the narrative. You want to control the environment. You want to control the person, and don't see where you're controlling. My eyes keep watering off this. I mean, it just, I don't know why it happens. I guess that's my spirit, man, because I'm so passionate about this. You understand what I'm saying? I'm passionate about life. I'm passionate about humanity. I'm passionate about helping other people. That's why my personal mission statement is I'm driven by divine precepts and an undying passion to facilitate change in the lives of others. I know the value of change. I know the value of, if you don't change, this is how your life will always be. Where's hell? Right here on earth. Where's heaven? Right here on earth. Heaven and hell exist in the same place. How is that so? I've been to hell. Now I'm experiencing heaven on earth. As a result of me understanding the need to change, to be better today than I was yesterday, to appreciate the fact that I have another day above ground. When you don't have a grateful perspective of life, your attitude, your mindset will always remain the same. There will never be anything different in your life. You ever met somebody, or I'm sure you know somebody, who every time you talk to them, it's always drama going on in their life? They're always complaining. Have you ever been that person that experienced that and realized that I'm sick of it? That I'm sick of me? See, you have to become sick and tired of being sick and tired of yourself. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who's sitting on the edge of your bed, crying, with your head in your hands, asking God why. Why not? You're not doing any work. You're not putting him first. Everything's about you. Everything is about you. I want this. I want that. I should be this. I should be that. Do you know how many millions, billions of people are out there that think the same thing? I should have a shot at getting a record deal. Now, with what's going on, you don't even want a record deal. That's why we have independent artists. People ain't looking for contracts like that anymore. But then you still sitting back complaining about the fact that your music is this and your music is that. They ain't put a damn thing out. It's so easy to put music out today, and you still ain't put nothing out. I've put more music out than some people who've been in the industry for some time. I put out what so far? I think I put out like 6, 7 songs this year alone. I put out 3 albums, and you can criticize your music all you want. I don't care, but I did it. I'm not sitting back talking about woulda, shoulda, coulda. I did it. I started a nonprofit. I did it. And when I say I did it, I mean I didn't sit back and wait for somebody else to tell me that I could or couldn't. There's a difference in thinking from what I once had. It's not about blame. Back to the article. Even when we know we're not accountable, we justify it. And I just got finished talking about that. So let's see what the article says. By the time we realize that our own level of accountability has not only affected our jobs, our businesses, listen, and the trust we need from others, everything has dwindled. We may feel the need to defend our own shortcomings as a matter of pride. Oh, we're talking about pride now. Now we're talking about pride. Well, let's talk about pride. Males, are conditioned to get it done. Now, let's look at the evidence of what getting it done, thinking, conditioning from unlearned people, from poorly conditioned people has gotten us. Death, incarceration, ongoing conflicts and confrontations with others, and the list goes on. But we can just stop there. Because getting it done means, well, I can't get a job. I'm going to go sell drugs. I'm going to go rob some people. I'm going to break into establishments. I'm going to rob banks. I'm going to steal. Because of the mindset of just get it done. Well, scripturally, we're supposed to take care of our families. That's our job. So if the $15 an hour job is not getting it, buying a bundle and flipping it ain't going to make it better. Oh, yeah, you're going to get the money. You're going to get it fast. So is a sentence. So is death. You get all those things fast too. Get a second job. So if you think that you need to make $25 an hour, well, let me see, this job is paying $15. You go find a job that pays $10 an hour. But part of that process is because I'm only making $15 an hour and because I don't feel as though that's enough, that I'm deserving of more. Well, welcome to the club, first and foremost, right? Everybody always think they should make more. That's not the reality, though, is it? And it hasn't become the reality in being self-employed. So I get the $10 an hour job and the $15 job, and I got to work that for a minute. But while I'm working both of those jobs, I have to change my thinking. I have to change my behavior. I have to change my habits. I have to change how I'm doing business. I've always sought upward mobility. When I go in, I'm doing 100% of what it is I'm told to do by my employer. I don't shirk my responsibilities. I didn't get groomed that way. I started working at 9 years old with my Uncle Frank exterminating. I learned how to mix the chemical, how much water, how much chemical. Don't waste it. If I tell you 1 ounce, don't put 2 ounces because you want it to be stronger. It's not going to be stronger in terms of what it needs to do. The same amount of chemical that I'm telling you is going to be effective. Period. More chemical is just more chemical. More waste. When you spray, don't spray people's walls. Don't spray people's curtains. Don't spray people's furniture. Spray the baseboard. Before we go out, you got household chores to do. Get your chores done in the house first. You want to go out and make some money? You get your chores in the house done first. And then be ready when I go out. So you know I leave out the house at 8 in the morning to start doing these jobs. That means you need to get up on time. That means you need to get up 6:30, 6 o'clock or whatever to make sure all your stuff is done so you can be ready to go with me. If you don't have those things done, you ain't going with me. I started learning that 9, 10 years old. 9, 10 years old. So my work ethic was always a matter of do my best at whatever job I have, regardless of what I'm making. Y'all don't remember. A lot of y'all don't remember when we were getting like $2 an hour. Then it went up to 2.35 after about 10, 15, 20 damn near years. It started going up in increments. They're gonna always pay us less. That's business. I'm not gonna pay you 30, 40, $50 an hour because you think I should pay you that. But then you come from an environment where you did a half-assed job, and now you want to come here and do a half-assed job and think you should be earning that kind of money. No, I'm gonna give that money to somebody who's coming in, who understands policy and procedure, who follows it, right? Who expresses in their presentation of self our mission, our vision. I don't want somebody coming into my business acting a fool. I don't want somebody who's going to show up when they feel like it. They're going to do things their way. They're going to talk to customers like, they're some peons out on the street. I'm not going to pay you that kind of money. I had to earn it. I earned what I got in life through my career. I became a supervisor in less than a year. Once I changed my mindset. Once I changed my mindset, it took 24 years of my 30-year career. It took 24 years for me to get the position that I always wanted when I started out in corrections. It took 24 years. And then I had an opportunity to do something even greater with a great company. See, for me, it's integrity first. You have to have integrity. You have to do what needs to be done, even when you don't have somebody standing there overseeing. Most of my jobs in the field didn't have somebody that means I was trusted to do the job. I wanted to be the best. When I started working in the food business, back, right? I started there as a person who was working the counter, a soda jockey, bagging up the stuff, putting people's soda and all that kind of stuff. That's what I started out doing. Within weeks, the owner wanted me to start doing deliveries. I started doing deliveries. Then he started having me prepare other foods. I think I was at that job maybe almost 2 years. I got an opportunity to work at a restaurant around the corner. Right? I went there working as a counter person. Right? Within months, only God, the head chef was leaving to go work for a food purveyor. He recommended me to the owners to be the head chef. Why? Because of the interaction that I had with customers, how I presented myself, right? How I maintained my clothing. I had a clean apron at all times. I wore gloves at all times. I said good morning at all times. I walked through the dining area. Good morning, right? And the presentation of the food to people. I made sure they had everything in there. I made sure when you looked at it, it was like a work of art. I'm an artist. So if I did a salad, the reds, the greens, the purple, the orange, whatever, everything, people look at your food. They'll just grab it. Look, oh, wow, look, this is, right? How I made sure things were packaged and not spilling out and all those kind of things. He recommended me for the head chef. This dude didn't know whether I could cook or not. And even though the job didn't require a high level of cooking because it was a health food bar, right? He knew I had attentiveness to detail. I had an attentiveness to the customer. He knew that I valued what it was that I was doing and putting product out. And I became head chef at that restaurant. And then after getting experience there, I had other opportunities as a sous chef here and a sous chef there. Right? I had those opportunities because I was changing my mindset about business. Even though early on I was like still street, I was still getting high and whatnot. But when I stopped getting high, I had the value in me, the work ethic in me. I just had to change my behavior, my thinking. You in business now, and this is the way you're going to act. Because see, most of the time I was in the back of the house, right? And then when I was working at the Hard Shell Cafe in Philly, I had more front house interaction because of being, the sous chef there. Like I was responsible for ensuring that things I had to be the expedite. I had to make sure things got out to the tables accordingly, and so my apron. If I had an apron on at the line, I took that one off, and that's what I went into the dining area with. I didn't have food and stuff in my hands and wipe my hands on my jacket because I knew there were times when I had to come out of the kitchen, right? And when I walk past people, not interrupting their meals, but hey, how you doing? Yeah, good, great, great, great. If I have to go up front and talk to, whoever the host or hostess was at the time, hey, what's happening with table 13? What's going on? Right? Go to the table. Hey, you, listen. Oh, wait, no, we gonna take care of that. I'm gonna have them get that to you within minutes before your lunch is even. Because when people come for lunch, people don't have a whole lot of time, right? So I go back there and I get not bring it out myself, or I go ahead and get a server. Hey, listen, stop that. I need you to take that there right now, right? So it's how you treat people, it's how you talk to people, it's how you value the job. Like hey, look, me, we fixed the food. You know, it wasn't right. I didn't like it. We fixed it. We had that conversation. Listen, I need you to do such and such. It sat up in the window too long, right? So now it got a little too hot. It got skin on it or whatever it is. We need to fix that, and we get it out and have the conversation with the server. Hey, listen, I need for you to rectify that because the servers, that's how they made their tips. So we had to fix that, not just for the benefit and the reputation of the restaurant, because we want the server to be able to make some money. When your servers can make money, right? They want to work there. They want to work there. They need them tips. That's how they pay their bills. They're making $2.50, $3 an hour, right? And plus tips. Um, by the time we realize that our own level of accountability has not, we back to the article, has not only affected our jobs or business and the trust we need from others, we talked about it dwindling. We may feel the need to defend our own shortcomings, right? The next paragraph, we may even go as far as blaming others for the things that did not happen because we did nothing to make it happen. Most of the people I work with know what the right thing to do is. They understand why it's important to do certain things, and they realize intellectually what will happen if they don't. Even with all this awareness, they still choose to avoid being accountable to themselves. So they call me in hopes that being accountable to someone else will turn things around. Right. So again, this is Growth Source as a coaching site. So and that's why I go from articles most of the time, and not do an Unchained show, which I will occasionally do. New Year's Eve is when I usually do those shows, or when there's something that's really weighing on my spirit, I'll do one of those. unfiltered, unchained shows where like I'm just right from the top, right from the heart, right? But it's a matter of uh, you do things, we do things, and we may not always be aware of why we do particular things. But if you want to grow, you have to find out the source. You have to find out the core of what the issue or issues are if you're going to be successful. Yeah, you have to. So I read a lot. When I do these shows on Saturday, I don't know the full content of the article. I'll see the subject matter, I'll see if the content, I think is content that I can present at a level of at a layman's kind of level where it's not me intellectualizing, pontificating, and all that kind of stuff. Where like it's a basic understanding of whatever the subject matter is. You understand? I want to make sure that I can help you relate to the content of the article and being able to look at yourself. That's called guided self discovery, right? Because it's not me that's going to bring about the change. I don't have that kind of power or authority over anybody. It's the information that I give to you. And it's up to you to take the information and use it. If you don't use it, then it's not on me that you didn't use it. It's not on me when you use it. Because then if you can blame me for using something that you were unsuccessful with, you're going to look at me first instead of looking at you. Because you take all of your failures, all, the shortcomings that are actually yours, but you take all of those things and you give it to somebody else and say, well, no, it didn't work because of this. That came from you. The next one, what to do if you struggle to hold yourself accountable. And it's okay to struggle. You have to understand that none of us just hop right into change. None of us just open our arms and welcome change. Especially when you've been doing something for so long. It's embedded within how you function. It's become your mindset, especially when it comes from somebody, who you value their perspective on things. You always listen to that person, and that person always says, things that, that. But then you have to remember you're listening still through filters of yours. And you filter in and filter out things that you find to be welcoming to you. And even though the person says something that you're in total agreement with, your actions interrupt the meaning of that content because you turned it into something else. Like 5 people can sit down and listen to the exact same person, and 5 people will come away from what that person said with different perspectives. Because of your conditioning. So you have to clean your filters. It's like a car. You got to clean your cabin filter. That's the one inside of your car. That's the one where the air is going through your car that filters out all that other stuff that's all in there. You got to change the filter on your oil because the oil's been running through your system. It's been running through your system and all these sediments that are within your system, right? So for the human being, all these barriers, all this resistance, and its cousins are filtering, and they start clogging up after a while because there's so much cleansing and purging that a human being has to do in life. So that oil filter gets changed. They change the oil too. See, they don't just change the filter and keep the same oil in there. Why? Because the oil gets burnt. It gets burnt because it's going through this hot engine. You understand? So the human being has to purge themselves on a regular basis in order to try to get in alignment with God. See? Because you're a human being having a spiritual experience. Right? It's not a spirit having a human experience. See, the spirit is within you, but it's the mindset. It's the mindset that is not in sync. The id, the ego, and the superego. Those three parts of self, those parts of the human being that have to get in sync. And oftentimes we're out of sync. So the goal is to get yourself in alignment with the Creator because you're the creation. And you have to understand through that relationship how you change. Because change is difficult in itself. But when you layer fear, unsurety, lack of confidence, when you layer those things onto fear, it becomes even more difficult and it adds to the resistance. It adds to the resistance. So change becomes difficult. So they got some things here in regards to steps that you can take to hold yourself accountable. Right? Number one is being accountable requires the right perspective. First, recognize that the reason you choose to do some things and not others is because your perception may be influenced by reward and consequences. This has to do with your early exposure to being accountable to others. There's always a reward or consequence for the decision you make. Understand? Children know when you teach them, you're not going to have a snack until you eat your dinner, until you eat your lunch, until you eat your breakfast. You don't eat your breakfast or the other meals, right? You don't get a snack. They will continue to resist as long as they're allowed to. When they see that you're consistent, they begin to eat their meal. As you come into your teen years and your adult years, it's already been established. This is your accountability. It's what you have to do. If you go to work the 5 days you're scheduled, report as scheduled, you're going to get an 80-hour paycheck every 2 weeks. You worked 80 hours. If you don't work 80 hours, right, you're going to be short. If you're short, something's not going to get paid. Sure, you enjoyed those 4 hours off, those 8 hours off. Why did you take off? Well, because on Saturday and Sunday, you was at the club. You're hungover on Monday. I'm taking off today. Why? Because I got paid time off. I can take my time. That's my time. I can take it when I want to. Right? And then when you look up, when you really need that time, you don't have it. So now you're mad because you have to take time off. You really have to take time off and you don't have it. There's a consequence. Number two, know your limits. Be conscious of what you are committing to. Some of the problem with accountability stems from overextending yourself, which gives you permission not to do the things you agreed to because you find yourself overloaded, overwhelmed. Yeah, I'll do that. No, don't worry about it. But then when it's time to do it, I agreed to do this. Now I'm going to spend all day doing this. This is my only day off. I'm going to spend all day doing this. I still have these other things that I usually do and then go to work tomorrow. And if you're self-employed, right, and you're committing to all of these things, right, you're taking away from the business responsibility. So now that order is going to be late because you committed to doing this and you really couldn't. Listen, the reality of it is it's a lot of things that your people are going to want you to do. There are. And at the end of the day, you have to look at, yeah, but where is that going to put me having to do this? That's just some things that we have to do. Let's be understanding of that. But if it's about business, and I have a job that is due tomorrow morning at 9:00, on Monday morning, and on Sunday, I went here because this is where we planned to go, and then you wanted to do this, and then you wanted to do that, right? I can't get locked into how you're going to feel about me saying I can't because this is due. I can't get locked into that. My responsibility is to get this merchandise done. That's what I have to do. I did this. I locked that in as part of my schedule, and that's what my schedule entails. I can't take on something else because then I'm going to suffer. I'm the one who's going to get up extra early. I'm the one who's going to have to be up all night. And then when I got to get up extra early or when I'm up all night, it affects my overall attitude for the day. I put that on myself because I didn't want you to be upset, because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. But what about mine? Again, you got to take care of you. And I'm not giving you carte blanche to say every time something comes up that somebody wants to do that you use business as an excuse. Everything is about scheduling. Yes, some things do come up. We're not talking about the things that come up for you in the business. We're talking about things that come up outside of that when you have the responsibility of business first and foremost. Don't take on. Don't bite off more than you can chew, right? That's a simple version of it. Step 3, find other things or people to be accountable to. Since many of us have been conditioned to be accountable to others, set up other areas to be accountable to. So for me, first and foremost, I'm accountable to God. You understand what I'm saying? And don't get this twisted. I never profess to be any holy roller, but I make myself accountable to God. Therefore, my conduct, right, is always going to be about making every effort to be responsible, to act in a way that is of servitude and of helping other people. And sometimes helping other people is saying no. But the other part to it is when I'm accountable to Him first, right? Then I'm able to be accountable to me. Part of the selection process is I'm accountable to my family. I'm accountable to my family. I'm accountable to my wife. I'm accountable to my children. So our actions always have to be consistent with when you have the mindset as a male, as a man, as an employee, as a student to get it done. It's not by the wrong means. So because you didn't study for the exam, because you didn't sit down and you didn't complete the rest of your thesis that is due tomorrow, you don't turn around and have somebody else write the thesis for you. You don't turn around and go online and plagiarize somebody else's stuff and present it as yours. You just don't do that, right? You just don't do that. You don't go out there and go ahead and get a package from Little Boo Boo down the street so you can flip, so you can pay this bill this month. Sometimes bills just don't get paid. It just don't get paid. It's just going to be late. Sometimes they're going to cut the card off. Sometimes they're going to come get the card. They're going to come get the card. You don't turn around and do something that's going to be inconsistent with your value. If the car is what's important to you, that's what's going to get you up. And for some people, that does. After a while, it just doesn't. You have to find something or someone that you're accountable to. The last part on there, conditioning yourself to follow through with promises you make is the main behavior that improves accountability. So I had a conversation with my grandson, for instance, yesterday, right? My daughter called me and contacted me and said, hey, listen, I need you to step up on communication with them because guys, there's some issues. And I don't want to go this route, but if you can, okay. So I committed to it before and fell off. I recommitted to that. Like, dude, listen, we need to talk to each other once a week. I'm committing to calling you once a week because I fell off. I'm human. I didn't justify the rational. I said to him, I fell off. So I'm going to recommit to doing that. So that's an accountable position that I put myself in to something else, to somebody else. Right? I'm always putting myself in a position of accountability. But I'm committed to those things. So I forget, just like anybody else. But if you forget, even if you forget, own it. I fell off. I should have. You don't take the route. Well, you didn't call me. You don't call me. But because that wasn't the question. The question was, or the request was, I need you to step up the communication with them because, right? So it was about me. Well, I know you said that you were going to do such and such, but I just need for you to do. Okay. But you got to own it. You don't say, well, somebody else should have did such and such. No, I said that I would do this, and this is what I need to do. Number 4, implement deadlines. A good accountability practice is to place deadlines on everything. Everything. Place deadlines on everything. This has to be done by this time. Like I took it all the way down to the wire. I had this external drive that stopped working earlier this year. I think it was about June. And I kept saying, I'm going to send it before the deadline. I'm going to send it for the deadline. Well, the deadline's December 14th. I just sent it on the 9th. Right? I should have been sent it. But that was one of the things that I allowed to fall to the wayside because I got time. No. Now, I'd have been upset if the 14th came, right? And I had a warranty for it. I'd been upset if the 14th came and I hadn't sent it. So it didn't make sense for me to keep putting it off. No sense at all. It really didn't. When it failed, I reached out. They told me what I needed to do, what the outcome would be as a result of that, because it was still under warranty. I should have sent the damn thing right then and there. I pushed it to the wire because I was placing other things before that when I still needed to get that done. But it says, without deadlines, things usually get pushed aside for more immediate tasks that pop up. When this happens, I just got finished saying this, you will likely attend to what is urgent before you work on what is important. Urgent always finds a way to override important. Right? So, yes, urgent things came up. But what ultimately happens is you have to understand this. Important can turn into urgent. So it became urgent that I sent this equipment out so I can get a replacement. Why? Because for what I'm doing business wise, I need that space. We need to have it for what all the different things that we were doing, all the designs. One design can be a whole gigabyte. The unit, I think, is 1 or 2 terabytes, right? I have a 3 terabyte unit, but that stuff can get filled up so quickly. And before you know it, now it's a sense of urgency because I don't have it. I don't know where to put it. Now I got to wait for something to come in the mail. When if I had just went on and sent this, wouldn't be faced with that right now. And my thinking at the time was to make sure I got it because I got music, I got images, I got videos. I have all these things that have to be placed and they need to be adequately placed so they don't get like layered into other things when they have their own space. And then my wife can have that unit and she can put stuff on there and we can transfer in between those things instead of me unplugging and letting her plug in or like setting up a network that, which is going to eventually happen. But it's so you create a sense of urgency for things that were on the important list. Be careful with scheduling activities too tightly. Give yourself room between activities and tasks for a break. I make sure I take breaks. I'm good with that. I'm really good with that. If I'm like just really, and I don't wait till I'm like exhausted. But if I don't feel like I have the energy to do it, I won't do it. Not only because I just it gives a different presentation of what it is that I'm working on. I want excellence. I strive for excellence. I strive for perfection. I want the best stuff going out. And I need to be at my best. Therefore, I have to rest in between. Some days I do absolutely nothing. I'll sit there and just watch movies all day. Rest my mind. Just rest my mind. And not overwhelm myself and overtask myself. It says it here, sometimes 10 minutes can make all the difference when it comes to staying on track. They're talking about giving yourself room and a break, right? Working too long without a break creates fatigue, and fatigue will sabotage accountability continuously. When you are tired, your brain minimizes important tasks and allows you to put them off. Remember that. That's why it's also important to use your time off from work. Right? In a manner that you're addressing your mental health needs, not because you were drunk and hungover, not because you just don't feel like going to work. Right? Where are you at mentally? Because if you are mentally deficient, then that's a good time to take time off from work. If you just don't feel like it, that's not a good time. Just because I have the time, I take it. No. You're going to need mental health time. And when you work in the field of dealing with other people's stuff as a clinician, whatever the job is, as a clinician for me, I'm always dealing with other people's stuff and mine. And then everything at home, their stuff. So you're always dealing with other people's stuff. You got to take a break, man. Step 5, and this is the last one, and we'll be at the hour. Learn from your failures. Finally, give yourself permission to fail. Yeah. Sounds odd, especially when running a business, right? People equate failure with some sort of financial loss or other damaging setback. But in our daily lives, we fail to accomplish all sorts of things. We attempt to do or tell ourselves we must do. Use failure as a tool for learning about yourself and changing how you decide on commitments, actions, expectations, etc. Change is necessary. It's necessary. Don't get to a point of it being an urgent reason to change. Because when it's an urgent reason to change, things are not going to go well. When you give yourself the opportunity to ease into the change, to gradually accept the change, life is a lot easier. When you're thrust into it, when you're forced into it, you got to work through all your resistance and everything about that change at the same time. And it's not necessary. It isn't. But it's something that you decide to take yourself through, right? You make that decision to take yourself through it. And you don't have to do that. I'm your host, as always, Sabir Aline. And listen, take a minute and just look at yourself and ask yourself, why am I still going through this? Over and over again. Just ask yourself that. And ask yourself that and look at you. What role you have in it. Ask yourself what role you have in it. And not talk about the other person. Right? I'm your host, as always, Sabir Aline. And just know that change is possible. It's got to get out your way. Nothing else is in the way. You're in your way.
Electronic devices, winning the crisis, mass propaganda seems to divide us. Government control, media platforms, greater disrespect is conform to a land full of hate. Where's the Messiah? Just can't wait. In the meantime, mother black man, there's a line in the sand. Walk around, minds in oblivion, their riches a mess. But look at the states we're in, disunion of a nation. White House funds for big corporations. Religious leaders, political leaders, community constituents, let that lead us to a government so divided, laden with Confederates. Just can't hide it. Black slaves are free, many whites are all duty for us. It's what it's called. Traumatic memory.
What?
Don't free me. So we made it easy. So we made it easy.
You can find all my music on every music streaming platform. Check it out. This was my first release, November 2021.
The being black has its privileges for a racist. Killing us is what it is. White privilege, gentrification, preoccupation, America great again. For your mantra, for your profit sight, black movement died to the light. We have the fortitude to shut it down. See their bright red noses looking like clowns. Are we just all lineage African? Come from us, white, red, yellow, African. True rulers, kings and queens, for self-sufficient ways and needs. Grace, mercy, blessings bestowed. Peace be upon us. Your annex are old. You're not superior. You're inferior. Just a lot of talk. It's the inferior. Your guns. We don't fear, we get our contribution year after year. Traumatic memory won't free me, so it made easy. So it made easy.
Make sure you check me out every Saturday morning, 10 a.m.
So
for Daddy's Right Here Live. Hear a little bit of music, have some fun. A learning opportunity for everybody. Y'all have a great weekend.
like Greenwood, we good. Do it again, black unity don't mean you, my friend. You got it twisted. I think you missed it. Black supporting blacks, so Wall Street District. Momentum regains upon the same separate nation. We're ending their reign, revolving our history. Murder not a mystery, hanging strange fruit in the 21st century. Respect, connect, circle, select. The time has come to put you in check. Traumatic memory won't free me, so we made easy. So we made easy.